Hello, what's good, and welcome to another season of College Deadlock. It's your boy, F. Joined here by Sorin, and we are going to jump into a brand new season. Sorin, it's been a minute. Glad to see you, bud.
Yeah, we started off season 1 together, so we're 2 out of 3 so far. There was a season 0 that we missed, but hey, we're here in season 2, bringing you the first couple of matches that we get here on broadcast at College Deadlock. Tonight, our first match is between two teams who are new this season. They're going to be in our group 3. We do actually have kind of seeding this season, so we won't hopefully get as many stomps as we did previously. But we got Macalester Esports versus the Champlain champions today.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Like Sorin mentioned, we've got a little bit of seeding coming up. We've got a bunch of teams. We've divvied them up, so we should have some even matches. Champlain's going to be represented by the Door, Red Hair, Sorin, V9, Ibuprofen, and the Goofy Goober. And Macalester over on the other side, it's Paradox, Tarbo, Kaya, Miele, and Satu, and Sunny. And this should be fun. Like we said, later on, we've actually got some returning teams, but for right now, some brand new rookies to the College Deadlock scene.
Yeah, and this is group 3. These are the lower ranked colleges. So the average for this lobby is approximately low Archon, high Emissary. So we're gonna expect to see some chaos here. You know, it gets kind of crazy when we get into what more average players might be like in Deadlock. But as you said, later tonight we'll get into the returning teams. Those guys are up in the top. They're some of the better colleges that we have in the running this season, and so we'll get to see both sides of the game tonight.
Yeah, the Aggies show up, and then we'll see UNL teams with strong esports programs kind of like across the board, so no surprise to see them jumping into the deep end as far as Deadlock is concerned. But even on the other side of the pool, like, that's one of the cool things as we get ready for our draft here is that schools of all different skill levels. So if you're over in your campus and you've got some friends that play Deadlock, jump on the call. Maybe you find out yourself on Season 3. Right off the bat, though, Champlain, they're going to take away Yamato. So some of that laning prowess that she brings. Apollo version 0.0. She's going to be banned out here today.
Yeah, we've recently been seeing a bit of a tank meta in Deadlock. If you haven't been keeping up with the pro scene, we've seen a lot of these characters like Yamato, Shiv, Abrams, Billy be really at the top of the draft priority. So seeing Yamato go, who's really been climbing up there among those 4, not too shocking. And then Macalester going to go with a Lash ban instead. I believe there's someone on Champlain who plays a decent amount of that, so that's probably a targeted ban at Veggie.
Lash, of course, always just does the Lash thing. Even still, today, you still have to worry about getting out. Yes, everybody can just hide from the ult, but that means you got to run away, and it definitely has an impact that you've got to do, sure. So target ban or otherwise. And that's something, as we talk about the differences between skill levels, that's something that you want to look at, and it's going to lead me directly to my conversation about first pick Drifter, is that there are certain characters, what they do is more effective at different levels of play. Drifter's looking to isolate individuals, and, well, it's easier to catch somebody lacking here than it is maybe at a more coordinated level.
Yeah, and that's going to be especially powerful when you've got the ultimate, the Eternal Night online, because the top teams, they've played against Drifters before. They know how to communicate and tell each other who's safe and who's not. Probably not going to be as on top of it are these teams, and also when we talk about lower ranked teams, we're looking at the hero pools and which heroes you can play. It's a little bit more narrow, and that's more important than strictly the meta a lot of the time. So while I can talk about how we're in a certain heroes are good, it ultimately just comes down to what these guys can play. And so Drifter first pick, I mean, I'm here for it. And then Abrams on the other side, a little bit more standard, but if Macalester can pull it off, that's certainly going to be strong.
Yeah, that is, like you said, the Abrams is a standard early pick. What you said rings true. You look at some of the other competitions, and we see that sort of like core of the draft kind of prioritized and then fill in the carries a little bit later. This is a team that's like, give me the good stuff. I want my Infernus? Sure. And I want my Drifter. We're going to enable our carries and see if they can do it. And I'll tell you right now, I love that you brought up, there's a meta, there's a common way of doing things, but you got to do what you're good at. And if Champlain thinks that they can play through their carries, prioritize that, you got to trust your teammates.
Yeah, and we're seeing a Mo and Krillin picked up for Macalester, and that's going to certainly help against this Infernus. We've been seeing the Dash Infernus kind of pick up in popularity as opposed to like the Ricochet Afterburn sort of builds, so if that is what Champlain are planning on, Kill's going to be a wrench in the work for them, but also just a beefy frontline here for Macalester coming out. And that's going to be tough against the Infernus, but, I mean, the beefy boys can certainly do it, and there's a third one coming in for Champlain.
Another heavy hitter, Victor, showing up. I mean, yes, they want their carries. Here he is. Victor's here to do it. And just a very different approach from where Macalester is going with their two heavy front lines. And more interesting to me than the tankiness of these characters is the control they offer. I mean, Abrams is just control 101. He's going to slam you. He's going to jump on top of you. He's just going to deal with you. And then, of course, Maurice over there just going to hit you with the combo and really make all of these carries very stationary. So yeah, I think Infernus, Dash Infernus, he's got to be afraid, but kind of so does everybody else right now. And it's up to Champlain as we jump into the second half of the draft to really, A, limit the type of carries that Macalester have access to, and 2, make sure that they get some control on their side.
Yeah, that CC is certainly an important factor, enabling some of these Abrams Billy type picks. Yamato kind of the exception there, but she just does great damage and can avoid the CC. But also an important factor that we see in a lot of these brawly bruiser type comps is support up. And now Macalester have picked that with the Page, who's fantastic in that role, can dish out the barriers to all sorts of people who might be getting dived by like a Drifter or an Infernus. She's got the ultimate as well, stun things up, give some heals to the whole team. So a solid pickup here for Macalester. I'm liking their first half of the draft here. They just kind of got to make sure that it doesn't go too late. Otherwise, I think Champlain are going to outscale them with Victor, Infernus type of heroes. So may look to see Champlain try and stall things out.
With that in mind, yeah, we've got sort of like this. We've got the rhythm section, so to speak, for Macalester, right? So who's the lead singer? What carries do you, excuse me, what carries do you want to see Macalester lean on?
I want to see them get some of these carries online. Like they've got options open to them in the second half of this. Wraith still available. Mina, a strong pick as well. Trying to think back through some of the things that I've seen recently pop off. A lot of the new heroes are the sort of carries, but they are not allowed so far in the season. We'll get to that probably later on, but none of the 6 new heroes are going to be allowed for tonight in particular. So no, they're available to them.
No option for Bebop or Ivy as well, and no surprise there on Bebop. I think he's everybody's most hated robot, so no pull for the Bebops tonight. And now all of our bands locked in. Macalester thinking about which direction they want to go as far as aggression is concerned. And then on the other side, Champlain, it's almost opposite drafts here. As the big man comes through, Dynamo. So more control for Macalester. Of course, he brings a ton of damage as well, so he'll be able to do a little bit of both and have the longest ult cooldown in the game.
Yeah, you better hope that Champlain don't have a Sinclair under their belts, because Sinclair here would honestly go really insane against Macalester's draft. We've got the double supports, a lot of beefiness there. Champlain pick up the Dorm, and that's going to help at least take out some from make sure that they can't insert their beefiness into the fight. But yeah, you've got all damage versus all health bars. So this is certainly an interesting draft so far. Again, really want to see Macalester pick up some damage here in the last half. Wraith, Geist, even a Haze could go hard here against the squishiness of Champlain. Well, not so much against Victor, but like the other 3 are fairly killable if you get the right engage with your frontline.
That's kind of exactly where I was thinking. Just go some of the raw. Like Haze kind of have some trouble in the turbo late game, but if everybody across the way is going to be squishy, then you don't have to play the turbo late game and you can just do it. So great talent showing up. Don't think Grandpa's going to be the tank here. So again, Champlain still leaning on that aggression. At this point, we've got to ask if this is going to be the issue, right? Like, not a lot of control here for Champlain. They've got a trap and the trolley cart, and that's kind of it, really. So that's my biggest concern off rip, is the lack of battlefield control for Champlain.
Yeah, they've got a bit of tankiness, they've got a bit of CC. Doorman is fantastic in that department, but they're split up onto different heroes. Like, you've got Victor, who wants to be in there and, be the front line, but he's going to take a while to get there. And then Doorman, who wants to CC, but then who's going to follow up? So can you get your pieces working together here for Champlain? Because kind of everything at once needs to be there, whereas Macalester have some more well-rounded individual heroes. Abrams has good CC, but he's also got decent damage at the moment. Page can do CC and support. Dynamo CC and support. Now the 7 that they've picked up also has a stun, so all 5 members so far have a decent amount of control in these team fights. And then 7 is also going to be dishing out the damage exactly like we said we wanted to see from Macalester.
It's just going to be very hard for Champlain to fight into Macalester. I know, like, that is the full analysis. It's just going to be very difficult for them to do what they want to do. There are a lot of roadblock blocks, a lot of hurdles, a lot of divots, a lot of holes in the ground, and Champlain has to maneuver around it. The last pick is going to be very, very important. I want to see a full style support. Warden being thought about here for Macalester, which is going to be a good look. I think they play a bunch of Warden as well, if I'm not mistaken. Sonny on this team plays a bunch of Warden, so we've got players comfortable on characters that they enjoy playing. We've got players with all the tools in the world, and then Champlain, they've got 5 hammers. They're looking for a nail. Here we go. Last pick is going to be Billy.
That's Billy picked up. Billy is a fantastic frontliner in the meta, and that's going to help you drag in some of these targets from Macalester. The question is if he can stand up to the CC, because if he does get trapped down and that's your only frontline in the fight gone, that's going to be a real problem for Champlain. But you've got plenty of damage to back him up, so this last pick kind of rounds out the draft, at least to make this playable, I think. You've got a lot of damage. Your question is going to be if you can get this Victor farmed up even more than the 7 and the Warden on the other side. That's going to be a big battle in the economy about who can get the most farm, because 7 and Warden, you know that they're going to be clearing that farm super fast, and they're going to be a late game threat. Victor can outscale them in the hyper late game, but when we hit around the time most games end, that kind of 30-35 minute mark, and where you get a lot of your peak items online, I do think 7 and Warden are actually just a little bit better. So, I mean, Champlain here have a very interesting timing to their comp.
Not only just the timing, but and let me tell you right now, I didn't really like the comp up until the Billy came in, and now I understand it, and I don't dislike it anymore. But what it is, Sorin, it's an all-inner, right? Like, it's all you get one shot. Billy gets the big ult, and all of your carries blow people up, or you die. Whereas across the way, Macalester has a lot of different options. Dynamo goes in for the big one. Oops, didn't work out. Guess what? Here come the horses. Everybody's knocked up. Mo and Krill throw sand in everybody's face, and you have to deal with all of these issues. Champlain get the pull or they don't. That's going to be really, really troublesome if it doesn't work out. So Champlain have to really pick their spots correctly. They have to identify their power spikes. They can't take a fight that's a maybe. They can only take fights that are absolutely yeses. And this sounds negative, but all of this can totally be a winning strategy, Sorin, if, like you said, they're able to keep up in the economy.
Yeah, the big question mark, the weakness of Macalester here is that you really only got 2 sustained damage sources in this comp in those last 2 of Warden and 7. If those 2 players can't individually have a fantastic game here, your whole game plan kind of falls apart, because Abrams, while he does good damage, isn't going to be able to do it on his own. Same with Dynamo. Mo and Page not really well known for their DPS, so you have to have this Warden and 7 get off to a good start and continue to stay relevant throughout the game. Have to be taking fights with them, so that you can be using the rest of your comp to set them up. So if Champlain can shut those 2 players down early, I believe you were pointing out the players that it's likely to be Sonny and Tarbo. If they can shut down those 2 players, then it's going to be really rough here for Macalester. So hopefully Champlain kind of recognize that in this comp, that hey, they've only really got these 2 guys that can do damage. If we can just target them in the fights, might have a shot here.
Yeah, got to be surgical about their choices, whether it's big all-in team fights and everybody surrounding Billy and making sure he's able to get his stuff off, or if it's just making sure target prioritization. If you do go into those fights and make a couple of trades, well, if you trade, I mean, pick 2 of the carries. They're all carries, right? You lose 2 of your carries for Maurice and Blueberry. You lost the trade. But if you're able to take down the Warden, if you're able to take down the 7, all of a sudden, now you're finding the correct way to do things. Not all characters on the map are going to be worth the same, not just in souls, but as far as just like who is getting that farm. You know, I don't mind if your I don't mind if your supports are getting too fat, but if your carries are 10k souls up, all of a sudden I can't defend the urn. I can't go ahead for the walkers that I'm looking for, and it changes the entire way how the battlefield is working. So as we get into our first game, players are getting ready, everything locked and loaded. Champlain Esports and Macalester, new to our scene. So give them a welcome. Very cool to see them jump up here. And like I said earlier, you know, if you guys are watching the program, you have some friends over on your campus at home, jump in. We got a season coming up after this one. You guys can be a part of it as well. Champlain and Macalester. They weren't here last season. They're here this season. And of course, we hope to see them next season as well. But they got to play their games first. And I think we're jumping in a matter of moments. We've got 2 in front of us, so it should be cool. And like we said, we know their battle plans. Champlain, they want to farm these carries up and then pick their battles correctly, specifically. Macalester, they might be able to fight a little bit more. They can definitely defend a little bit more. I'm eager to see Sorin if Champlain gets active early, if Macalester's able to like keep him away, or if this onslaught is going to be a little much in the early.
Another question. You talk about theory all you like, but if these teams play a better macro game, almost no matter what the comp, if they're doing the urns at the right times, being in the right places, getting off effective games, that's almost certainly positive. About who can make the fewest mistakes and who knows their
right side lane, furnace over here. Be watching how quickly he gets online. 21 characters. Quickly. It's going to be against the 7 and the Warden, who lane pretty well. 7's one of the more annoying characters to lane against because he just sort of tosses the lightning ball off and walks away.
I like what Macalester have set up.
We won't falter!
They've got a support and their carry. Typically how you like to set up both those people. Have someone who can deal out damage, someone from the way back. Got more of a hesitate to say all lanes already, but security find a good name. Not very are the most relevant ones there, the most important Macalester. Whereas Champlain are the first to out. Have a little bit of hopefully recognizing
you have no place to go.
But if Gordon can get his ult online and be backed up by the siege, Billy and Inferno is one that I really got a very winnable lane. You just have to play.
This is the one. Would you say you have to play with aggressively?
You have to play it around the enemy. If your Inferno goes in at the wrong time and gets Dynamo knocked up into a 7 stun, that's going to be Deadly Inferno. So if you bait out those cooldowns and then go in, you got to use the cloud effectively.
I want to bring it back to something you said about the mid lane because I think that's important. Having the big boys here from Macalester, right? Not really a stall lane, but it's just not going to get pushed. It's also not going to get pushed in, and I think that's the key here. You know, you lose this mid lane, well, then you can rotate left. If you win the mid lane, you can rotate left or right. So you have options. So you want that mid lane. Macalester wants their mid lane to be a little bit more stalwart. That's where they put their big guys here, so that they might not win in this, but they're not going to lose it and risk that easy rotation from Broadway. So definitely something that they want to keep in mind.
Yeah, if they do end up winning, both Abrams and Mo and Krill are solid gankers. Like, they can rotate out to these outer lanes and get some really effective work done in a short amount of time and then rotate back. So that mid lane going to be another potential pressure point here if either team can get a solid advantage.
Early moments here. Nothing too crazy as far as our spread is concerned. Every once in a while, especially here in the more chaotic ranks, sometimes you'll see like an odd pick. It's so easy to take one step too far and just find yourself in no man's land. But some disciplined play coming out here, and I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I think both these teams are playing things a little cautiously. We saw a couple of frozen waves early on. I think both these teams are just not wanting to be the ones to make a mistake in their first Collegiate Deadlock appearance. You see a couple of cooldowns now baited out, and there goes the Infernus in getting something done. This is exactly what I said they needed. 7 down already to half HP. And that's really the first big HP kind of trade that we've seen in lane so far.
Yeah, the first real pseudo engagement. Of course, that'll have ramifications later on. Now 7 just can't step up, can't be as comfortable as he was earlier in lane. Got to keep that one in mind. A little bit of trading going on in the mid. But again, these guys are tankier. You got the resilience on Abrams, so not too concerned. Whereas on the right side, 7, half HP or not, has to keep pushing up this lane. And that's the key here for Champlain. Like, should they be over-aggressive? No, never. But like we said earlier, bait out those cooldowns and then hit the gas. Well, you need to be hitting the gas for this to work out. And so far, Champlain are absolutely doing this on the east side of the map. Oh.
Yeah, and they've even found time to get Infernus the bridge buff. That's going to be Gun getting off those extra afterburns for additional damage. Very useful against the healing that Dynamo can provide. And now an engage here. Let's see if we can get anything.
Low HP on the left-hand side, and so Billy's going to go after the Dynamo, making sure there's no line onto the Infernus. Now this is going to look towards the right side, and not in kill range, but doesn't want to dance out here too much. Plays behind the sign, shoves out a little bit. And we're back at lane equilibrium. Good job there, playing under duress from the 7. Could have went pretty bad, but Dynamo winds up waddling away, and well, we're back at it again.
Yeah, and crucially, Tarbo's actually got this ultimate online one wave before everyone else. Some good box runs, I think, in there. And so if they get aggressive here, going in, could find something with the Storm Cloud, but here in mid, not quite as much. There's the Storm Cloud, tries to find something, nothing going on, but over here in mid, they have started up. The boys trying to get in the punches, and it's actually able to become that after a nice parry from the door.
I love to parry in April. Somebody needs to parry here. Drifter with 20 HP. Make it none. First blood goes the way of Macalester. Ibuprofen. Walking up a little too far. Gonna have a headache after that one. And so now you got to look at the rest of the lane. What happens here? Now the Drifter falls out.
Well, you just saw the ultimate used from Macalester. Both Aaron M and Paradox Lover popping the last stand and the rallying charge respectively. It was answered by the Baroness Hotel to try and lock away some of that warden damage, but it was already too much onto Ibuprofen. So now, let's see what they can do. The Dynamo Black Hole comes in. Goofy Goober goes down a little bit too deep on the Billy, and of course 7's got the damage to be able to finish that one off. Now looking for something onto the Infernus, who's got the charge, the ultimate entanglement, not quite there. You saw him lining up for it, but just a little bit too late. So the big damage coming in from Infernus, but he's rather low himself. Maybe he just needs to back off here.
Oh, he's going to go in. Well, maybe he does need to, but he decides against it. There's a little more onto the Dynamo. Gets nothing, though. Good enough. And he's chilling. He's hanging out. No sustain in the item bag just yet, so this is a little... But look at that. Oh, he's alive! 1 HP, they got to look for the punish. No, and this is the smart move. I think a lot of players, you know, in your ranked games, you see that 1 HP, you want to go chase. No, the game's about economy. It's about the stuff after the stuff. Shove them out. It's a not a kill, but it's like a knockout. I take your small camp. See you later.
Yeah, Miele and Tarbo both having to go back to base to reset to full HP. I believe Tarbo at least used the zip boost, so if they get a kill onto him, it's going to be longer before he can get back in that lane. But as we're here past 8 minutes, the center sacrifices are up. I want to see these teams start to focus those down, because that is a major source of souls, especially here in the early game. So far, just Billy taking his own, all the rest of them up on the map. So if you get that wave pressure, if you get a kill even, you can start to pressure those instead for an 8-minute Guardian, which is a little bit early, at least for this level.
Warden and 7 are pretty rich, and Warden has been rotating a bunch in the jungle as well to embolden those coffers. The Drifter here pushing up on the left side. He's be able to get away from the Warden. Mid lane a little bit of a tussle, but Champlain able to walk away as well. Meanwhile, a lot of pressure on the right side is what we're looking at as well. So all told, almost 10 minutes in and about a tie game. Slight lead here for Macalester after some success in lane. Getting the first blood across the way onto the Drifter player. And now as a result, they've got to find that next push. Drifter getting pushed in one more time. Page going to go ahead and help out. And out of the hotel, everybody's going to be safe. A little bit of dash away. And Warden's easy peasy out of there. 25 HP, but he's got a dream.
That's an ultimate 4-1 ultimate. I think you're happy there if you're Sorin just to trade off those things. Victor now under a bit of duress. Gets the barrier though. From reactive barrier. Nice purchase pickup. So that'll mean that engage comes to nothing. But this left side Guardian took a lot over time from the Drifter and Doorman combo. So that one will finally fall. And that's a first Guardian. Despite the first blood going the way of Macalester, first Guardian goes to Champlain.
Stole the words out of my mouth. Yeah, that's crazy to see him kind of come back from that. Obviously, it was just one death. It wasn't the end of the world, but Drifter and Doorman kind of getting back into that. A huge deal for Champlain. This ever so slight 3-4K soul lead, basically. This would have been a different story if not taken there. However, Infernus is trying to make it home, and he's going to run into bad guys on the way. Dynamo ult is good, and from behind, Tarbo shows up, puts it down. But the trade is strong. Dynamo falls as well. Billy Goat stunned on his own tower here. And mid lane's little troublesome as well. So all the action going on in mid, but we've got the 1v1 with Billy chased under his tower. And Seven's on the hunt, ignores it, and just, all right, getting some farms. Smart man. We will walk away. No, not. Throws down the lightning ball. Gets the kill from a distance. Tarbo over Goofy Goober.
The healbane proc there for Billy almost gave him a chance of getting out alive, but little box running on the chase down, and Tarbo is able to finish that one off. He's now almost up to 10k on the set, exactly where you want your carry to be. So looking good in the long game here for Macalester, as we've got a 3v3 over in mid lane, leaving Warden to solo against this Drifter. Then you kind of like that matchup, even if Drifter does get the extra damage for solo. Paradox Lover's up by about 1,000 souls, and he comes in with the last stand. No Baroness to meet him this time, and that'll be ibuprofen needing a bit of his own medicine.
Second death for the Drifter player, and Warden comes on out. He'll get a kill, and it looks like he'll go ahead and get the first structure in lane for his troubles as well. Good job, Warden. And Macalester now kind of positioning themselves to look for a larger lead. We're going to fight here on the right side one more time, chasing down that successful Seven. Billy and Infernus here, and honestly ready to dance. Seven is very rich, but the 2v1 would absolutely be a good look for them. Unfortunately, it wiggles away for now. But all this pressure on the right side is still here, and the yellow team's going to look for their structure.
Yeah, and they're probably going to find it here before Dynamo can come back in. Would like to have seen a bit of pressure there in mid while Champlain were rotating over to the left side to deal with this Warden, but that's only going to start coming in now. And actually, Macalester hold on to their Guardian here on the right side. They even get the kill onto Infernus. V9 is down, and so now this could be a turnaround for them in this lane.
Big mistake from Champlain. And, like, it feels small, right? Just like, oops, I took 2 centimeters too far, and I got punished for it. It's just one death. But the game is built off of small moves like that. Tarbo able to take down the structure and wiggle out again. No punish. No punish whatsoever. A great assault here from Macalester, getting it done.
Yeah, now that's gone Macalester. That Guardian is hanging only by a sliver, so I imagine the next push here, someone will be able to force it out. The question is if they can trade it for a kill. And the other question is what's happening here in this mid lane, because Macalester have had 3 members here for quite a while, and if they aren't getting any sort of pressure off of this, then the only thing they're doing is splitting the souls with an additional person, which does make that math work out slightly less in favor. But if they can make up for it here on the right side, Tarbo going in deep, trying to find these kills, does find Goofy Goober. He's burning, but not quite going to be able to find the finish off is V9, so they get a kill here for free, and now Warden's joining in on the fun.
1 for the ultimate. Infernus getting run down here will avoid the Warden. But not the bullets! Tarbo sits out for 30 seconds, and Champlain looking for something in the mid now. This would be a moment to go for it. Great Talon, very quiet all game. Now is time to wake up, my friend. Watch out. Warden from the right-hand side has last stand available and is going to be a big deal. You also see the Dynamo showing up. No, for him, though, got to keep in mind. Last stand's able to push onto the tower. Success. And now we look for the fight. Drifter running. And the rest of Macalester got what they came for. Structure down. We'll walk away.
They're giving up something else, though. They've had 5 members here in the mid lane while Tarbo is down, and Doorman just nearly soloed a Walker. He's over here. He's going to pay his life, but, I mean, that's backdoorable. Like, that is a very early Walker take, and so we talked about the macro game kind of at the start of this game. Giving up free Walkers, certainly not what you want to be doing there. But they do at least get the kill on the exit and a Guardian for their troubles. You're still in that. But man, that was a close one.
What I'm seeing here is speed of application. Like, you'll see the higher ranked teams, higher ranked players. You see that's one of the differences. Like, oh, guess the rank of the game. How quickly they decide to do something, stick and leave. So Macalester, they make great choices. I think they're playing a stronger macro game than Champlain, almost. The thing is, they have the right ideas, Sorin, but then they hang out for too long. They, like, if it doesn't go their way, they're still there. Like, you kept mentioning how many people they had in that mid lane and they didn't get it. You show up and you make the play, and if it doesn't happen, you got to leave. Otherwise, Doorman by himself brings your Walker down to 1 HP.
And so that's going to be a question. Macalester can make the right play and then readjust. They've still got 3 people here in mid lane to fend off the 3 from Champlain. Fights breaking out in mid and left sides as we've got the 2 carries over on the left, but the parry nicely done by the door once again onto this Abrams, but he is well statted here to be able to take this engagement. And now a Bird not finding anything either, so both these engagements out with just a handshake and a walk away.
There's pressure on the right side, but there. Instead, it's going to be a 4-2 split, 4 in mid, while Champlain is completely split 3 and 3. No push in mid. Macalester will spread. That is the right call. They showed up and they looked for something. They realized they couldn't, and so they immediately walk away. That's what they didn't do earlier, and they got punished for it, Sorin. So learning every minute of the match. You love to see it.
Yeah, and Champlain nearly committing the same mistake as Macalester did earlier. That Walker went down to almost half speed just from the minions. Maybe if Sunny had stuck around, would have been able to do something there, but just not quite enough information on the map. I would love to see them at this point, Macalester, take the urn. They've got 6k lead. They've got decent waves. If you can grab this urn and take it over to the other side, that's a free 3,000 souls and some stats to boot. If you can just grab it and walk it over.
That's the motion. A lot of times, a lot of people find mid-game going, you do. That's what you do. The urn call you like the Green Goblin mask the second you have a small lead. And you got to choose when you actually answer the call. Call placed. And it will be chased out. No full commit. And I like that choice. I think if Warden runs down there, bad things happen. So, again, I complimented the discipline before. And I'm here doing it one more time.
That is what it's going to take to close out this game from either side, is knowing when you can engage and when you can't. We've talked about the importance of the right targets here for Champlain. So far, they just need a little bit more on to Tarbo. Catch him in the farm, get something going together. But right now, it's them getting caught. Red hair. That's a GT down. Quantum, or a black hole, rather. Singularity not quite finding anything. That's a long cooldown gone, but Macalester still up on the map. They've taken their last Guardian. Now just looking for something, looking for a little bit more here in this right lane.
Macalester definitely in position now. This is the first medium lead turned into something tangible. Macalester are able to just look for an objective and fight head to head and trust that they have the upper hand in said engagement. But very pushed up is this right side from yellow. Champlain going to get in some trouble as 3 members from Macalester show up. Drifter half HP already, turns around to try and burn, but it's going to be both Abrams and Warden showing up. They're split between 2 different characters. Since Drifter goes left, Billy goes right, like a Scooby-Doo episode, and they would have been good If they stuck together, maybe. Instead, it's a separate rundown. Warden bringing the Drifter down to about 33%. And just enough to send them elsewhere. And there it is. Sorin, you asked, and it looks like you might receive. They're talking about the urn, but no commit.
No, nothing coming through so far as we're nearing 15 minutes and that urn will reset. And looks like Champlain have found a window here with an overcommitment from Macalester to the right side. They're going to get this last Guardian. It is well enough into the game that it's not surprising to see the last of those fall. They'll get a kill onto the Dynamo as well to boot. And now here, if they can find this 7, it looks like Sorin is on the chase down. If he can lock him in the Baroness and get some follow-up, that could be a nice way to take the 7 off the map for just a little bit. However, Ibuprofen caught here as well. An early Lightning Scroll. Poor Paradox Lover looks like going for this full Warden ult build. Will catch one. Now, how can he stay in the fight?
Definitely a tall question to ask. The door is able to take down Tarbo, and that is the lobby leader as far as souls are concerned. So the 22k7 sits out for almost a full minute, loses all that farm, and Champlain makes a big chunk back as a result. Almost 10,000 souls separated our teams previously, and now right back to basically a tie game. So Macalester, for my money, I think Macalester is playing Deadlock all slightly. And the caveat is they keep every little bit that they're leaving out. Champlain are picking up Sorin. They are taking advantage of every little oops that Macalester utters.
Yeah, and that oops is just letting the wave get a little bit too close onto that 1 HP Walker. It was going to fall eventually. It was almost a certainty that, you know, anyone could give their life from Champlain to take it. And it looks like that might be the case here for Sorin. He's not going to make it out against the Warden. But an admirable attempt nonetheless. Yeah, absolutely worth it to take an early walker like that. Somewhere in the chaos, actually, the left walker for Champlain went down as well. I didn't catch that one, but that is 1 walker apiece now. And that farm largely going over to Paradox Lover, it seems. While Tarbo's been in the farm, mastering creeps, Paradox Lover's been active on the map, getting a lot of these kills for Macalester.
And as a result of his success, almost in farm, almost in tandem with farm with Tarbo, which is exactly what you want. These are the 2 core carries here for Macalester. They're looking to play through Paradox Lover and Tarbo, and they're rich. Yeah, time to hit the gas pedal. You're 24 and 21 on the 7 and Warden respectively, and Champlain is going to look to engage in this mid lane. Drifter on the right side. Tarbo falls down, which means there's nobody here to defend the Walker, and Champlain, who have been trailing pretty much the now find themselves defending their Walker. Slight mathematical lead. And we are locked and loaded. Sorin, we got a game here.
Yeah, good comeback here from Champlain. They are catching out Tarbo when he overextends like this. It's exactly what you need to do onto a 24k7 at this point in the game. And really from Champlain, you're trying to put yours into V9 to match this farm, but a goofy little interaction there from Paradox Lover. He will go down as well. Now, Champlain, with time on the map, you get a 3rd pick here. You're thinking about it, you could go mid-boss here, but do they know that that is up? That'll be shocking. Reanimation forced out from the door. They've got plenty of resources to be able to do things. What do they do with this advantage now?
Looks like we are coalescing around mid. It is scary. The Dynamo's up with ult. The Abrams is up with ult, so it wouldn't be free, and it looks like that was enough to deter Champlain from going for it. Instead, looked for a little bit of strip of the jungle. Vegetable winds up pushing on this right-hand side. They defended their own right side Walker. Now they're looking for the enemies, and Champlain in Furnace here, and we'll go ahead and earn that extra flex slot. Taken down, and the punishment here, the two players from Macalester, I don't think they're going to be able to get anything, and if anything, if they chase too hard, the turn will hurt. Macalester pumps the brakes. Yeah, that's the right call, Mo. That's the right call.
Yeah, Ricochet picked up on V9's Infernus here. That means a lot of team damage and also a lot of extra farm here. You see him putting that to good work in this medium camp. This is really the threat for Macalester. You need to be directing some of your CC this way, take out a lot of the damage that Champlain are throwing at you, because while the 24k Doorman isn't going to tickle, he's also not really going to be the one taking you out in most of these team fights. So V9 and a little bit Ibuprofen as well, getting up there on the Drifter. going to be the targets here for Macalester. You've got plenty of CC to do it. It's just, can you coordinate well enough to be able to burst down these targets before they get a chance to escape?
That's the big one. And it's interesting because Macalester has the comp. They kind of want to be all-in team fighting, whereas Champlain wants to find somebody and chase him down, right? All these carries. Victor's going to do just that. It's a 1v2. 7 goes directly into the sky. Victor's getting beat up, but all that sustain is a big deal. Tanky, back to 90%, back to dealing it out, and here comes the cops. Last stand is good. The Baroness is in trouble. See you later, Insanity. Warden up on top. Half HP for him so far, still dealing with the opponent across the way. Meanwhile, Champlain getting kills across it. So good for you, Paradox Lover. He finally falls down, but 2 of his teammates wind up falling in afterwards. And as a result, Macalester, it looked like a good day for Paradox Lover, but it was a bad one for the rest of the squad. And this is a team game, 3-for-1 exchange. That is in favor of Champlain. They leading by almost 20k.
Yeah, the door really putting in work in that fight on the Victor, sustaining through not only the Mo and 7 combination ult, but also the last stand from Warden. The Aura of Suffering, you might be comboed, but that is still going, and with Infuser popped, that's a lot of lifesteal he's got going on. So Macalester now need to pick up some anti-heal in their comp. They're going against 2 Infusers. They're going against a Billy, and generally everything that Victor has to offer is healing related. They need to find some sort of way to deal with that, but right now that's just a black hole wasted. Doesn't even catch onto V9 here. And so this is about to be a Dynamo caught and killed as Champlain are going for this mid-boss. Solid recognition here on how they win these fights.
There's no escaping me.
As the Dynamo player, you got to learn how to die with the ult, without popping the ult. You know, Miele, there was no possibility for that to happen. Unfortunate. As Macalester lose the mid-boss, they lose one of their larger engagement tools. Thankfully, there are others, but maybe a little bit of a fight here. 7 shows up after the fact, immediately gets lit up by every single person's weapon. Goofy Goober is able to fall down. So a kill for Macalester. They take 1 charge of the refresher away. But we're good. Trouble for Drifter, and he'll eat it. So almost a complete wipe of it. Mid-boss was successful, but what did it cost you, and what do you still have? The full-on disengages here, and our teams will walk away. Champlain still have 1 charge.
Yeah, and they've also got a 30k lead, which we said we needed Paradox Lover and Tarbo to be outscaling Champlain, and they were doing that effectively through the first half of this game, but now the teams have just fallen such out of place that, I mean, they're kind of below average for Champlain players. So still making it there with 29k, but that's still 5 behind this Infernus, who's clearing this jungle like it's nobody. And they just need to find really one this game can be fully over for Champlain.
True. The butterfly effect, so real, man. The door, that play where he walks into the 2v1, just says, hey guys, look how dumb I am. And they hit him. Cool. You just dropped your 3 most important ultimates. They win the fight, and they win the next fight as well. Robbing those resources, such a big deal for the door, and he looks like he might do it again. The sustain is huge. Up, down goes the life bar. The life steal on this character is insane. And so Victor gets in some trouble, but walks away.
There's just not enough anti-heal from Macalester. It can be difficult to put it onto a Victor who's got the cleanses with his jumpstart, but I mean, Healbane here from the 7 of Tarbo is about the only thing you've got, and now coming the other way, a curse into a Baroness Hotel. Sunny's now been caught out, and there's a waiting Billy to be able to take him back into the fight. Paradox Lover needs to do something big here.
Stuck between 2 separate people, ultimate already used, and here comes the Warden. Last stand is going to eat these players up. Goofy Goob falls down, gets blown up. And there's the follow-up from the bird. But it winds up being a trade. Miele falls down again. And when the Dynamo returns, they will have the ultimate. And that's going to be a big deal for Macalester because they're going to be on the defense most likely. And they're going to need that black hole.
Yeah, but it is going to be another 40 seconds before they have that available. Fortunately, Goofy Goober was one of the ones who died in that mid-boss engage, so he's not able to use the Rejuvenator charge. So that's time here for Macalester to regroup, take off some of their farm here on the right side. That's about the only thing left on their side of the map. You don't really want to be pushing into Champlain's right now, so if you can do that, and then also defend this mid-walker, nobody's there right now. Champlain, they left just one person on that wave, could potentially have had a free walker, but instead, everyone just kind of clearing the map right now as we fall back into the passive game of who can get the most souls the fastest.
A scary one for Macalester. Champlain can go outside and grab goals, but Macalester, so they got to be much more careful, I would say. They're down a little bit as far as a lot of their farm is concerned, and now we're getting to the point where it's like early on. So the way Champlain's draft works is early on, they're just not really that huge of a threat, right? Like these are late scaling carries for the most part. Now they're starting to come online. Now you've got to be a little bit more scared. So yeah, Macalester have all of the tools. I lauded how much control they have. And frankly, I still like their draft better. But this is a perfect example of why we play the game. Because Champlain right now, they understand their draft. They understand that they were going to be behind. And as soon as they started transitioning into these moments, they started doing things like this, taking down the page out of no, and now pushing up into the mid lane. A little bit of defense coming out from the Abrams. Ultimately, Drifter's going to be pushed out of here. The Eternal Knight comes out, and the Copper's here. Last stand. Everybody's got to run from the Warden. Ibuprofen underground. A 2-for-1 exchange still. So Warden's doing all of the work, Sorin. But Champlain still wind up wiggling, waddling, and winning some of these moments. Still just a 2-for-1. Nobody on Champlain, as squishy as they might be, dying just yet.
Yeah, now 7 comes in. Tarbo needs to put in work with this, but immediately gets stunned out there. The damage here from Champlain is immense, and despite Macalester getting some good engages there, I mean, they've got decent fight taking, but honestly, some of these builds are a little funky. We got Sunny on the Gunmo. Abrams there, you saw the Echo Shard up for the CC. We're going to see if that has any effect. The flying combo, I haven't seen that one in a while. And his ball onto this Victor, who is able to survive this because, once again, Tarbo has the only heal bane on the team. You need Paradox Lover to be picking up something like a crippling headshot or a spirit burn from the Dynamo. Something to take this guy down, because right now there are just no answers from Macalester.
That's really what it's been. The door has just been able to extend these team fights. Like I said, rob the resources. He shows up, and Macalester did it twice, man. They kid dumped into him twice. You know, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, you can't be fooled again. Like, you can't do that, right? You have to be able to adjust and adapt. Word. Victor showed up. He got all of our stuff, guys. I'm immediately telling everybody to buy anti-heal, especially when you've got characters who can build it well. So I'm with you. That can be the biggest difference and pseudo win condition right now for Champlain is the lack of anti-heal from across the way.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how Victor takes a while to get online. That's normally when he's having to deal with, toxic bullets and crippling headshots and spirit burns from across the way. If you don't have to deal with any of that, well, that's a lot of items and a lot of power scaling you no longer need. So 33k will do just nicely here for the door. And then he's setting up all of that damage, 4v9 on this Infernus, 43k, all of his items online. And then also, I'm here doing a solid job on the Drifter. Engaged there onto Dynamo should he choose to take it. There's a bit too many members of Macalester around here for Champlain to feel comfortable. Zedroid and catch that mid-wave. Still a 23k soul lead for Champlain. I think they're looking comfy here. I really want to see them, again, push this lead. Take the urn, do something to force an engagement out of Macalester where you think you're advantaged. And let your soul...
Really knowing that the Dynamo Ultimate is on cooldown, you want to just... Honestly, if you just group up and do something, make them respond. Like, I don't even care what it is. Push the mid... Walker, like, who cares, right? Like, just fight me. I know you don't have your tools. Let's go. Now, Macalester have their tools. No horses from Aranim, but Tarbo's going to have the ultimate online as well. And you've got 5 big buttons to press here for Macalester if they get pushed into. The dubious builds aside, 20K is a large lead, but something you can win a fight against if played well, and this is the composition to do it, right? Trap a squishy, pop him in the mouth. Just don't do it to Victor. Stop doing it to Victor.
Yeah, 20K is certainly winnable here for Macalester if they get those good engages. Paradox Lover's done a nice job of staying with the rest of the gang and farm. 40K, that ultimate from the Warden can do a lot of damage if you combine it with some of the CC that they've got, right? You got to keep people in that radius and not get shut down by Sorin in these fights. So Macalester, if they find the right place, the right time, they certainly can come back here. But maybe poking down a Victor while he's taking his farm from 10 meters with a gunmo is not where you want to be. Perhaps they've got a different idea in mind here.
What's your beef with gunmo, man?
I'm pretty sure Mo has one of the worst scaling guns in the game.
You are not wrong. Poor Billy, surrounded and pounded, 37 people around him. Just in the wrong neighborhood, my friend. And that, we were talking about all the good things that have been happening for Champlain. That's one of the things that can't happen. It is late in the game. I don't really know what time it is, but it's late in the game, and you can't be by yourself at this point, right? System. At this point in the MOBA, you are never alone. Big boss being pressured in here by Macalester. This is what they think is their way back into it. Champlain are local. 2 of their members are across the map, and one of them's dead, so it's going to be 3 yellow team members here to kind of push into this, but Macalester are here, and Drifter's upstairs. No contest, probably the right call. And Macalester, well, they were down, not out, and now they got the keys to the truck.
Plenty of gas in the tank as well. Didn't have to expend any of their ultimates to take that one. Still got the Dynamo Black Hole. You've still got the Rallying Charge from Page. Anything that you want available here. Gun buff on the left side as well. If Paradox Lover chooses to go out and take that one. And finally, we're going to see a team pick up the urn. First time in this game. We're, what, probably about 30 minutes in?
Yeah.
And Macalester are going to try and force a team fight with this mid-boss.
Good choice for Macalester. And this is kind of what we mean, you know, when you've got an advantage, even a technical one right here, not a monetary advantage, but they've got the mid boss. Force the fight. And here it is. Gunmo, gunned down, barely alive, and full convert here. Sunny will get the revive, so ready to be right on back into it. Infernus is not here. Grey Talon is not here. This is a 4-on-6 for the yellow team. Paradox Lover is going to make it a 3-on-6. It's another one for Ensatsu as well. So 2 players from Champlain fall down. There are still 2 revive charges for Macalester. They have evened up the game from 20,000 souls down. They're going to go ahead and split up here. 4 in mid, 2 on the right side. Page, don't get drifted. And this will be the push for the mid lane walker.
Yeah, disastrous there for Champlain. V9, their carry not with them. The door, the one who's been eating all these resources, not with them. And now, if they can just bring down this Victor, surely in a 1v6 you'll be able to be 4 at least, as Paige and Mo are not quite there. The Dynamo comes in, he's got the Black Hole stunning up the Drifter, or the Victor rather, and they do at least manage to get the first life out, but now no rejuve charges, can't find enough gas to finish things off. V9 is here for this fight, he's not caught lacking this time, and he'll be able to take down Paradox Lover. Tarbo in short order as well. Everything's falling apart here for Macalester. They do get Infernus.
The door barely alive. It's going to be enough. 4 players dead, and don't forget they started this engagement with 2 revives available. So that's basically 6 Ks here for Champlain. They ain't done yet. Ibuprofen was put down the entire early game. 5 deaths without answering, and now working out. Mid lane was the push for Macalester after their mid boss. That was the plan. They did tie it up, and just like that, Champlain says, no, thank you. And they're back at it. It's going to be the mid lane walker for Champlain instead of Macalester. All blue jerseys are sitting down, and Champlain don't need no mid boss. They take the walker by themselves, and they're looking for more after this. Honestly, you just kind of clear the jungle here. Nothing overwhelming. The urn's gone, mid-boss down, so you just kind of Steal triangles and peace out.
No, you've got 6 kills, and the first one up is still 30 seconds away. You can at least get base guardians there. Probably some shrines and a first phase patron, but yeah, Champlain just choose to play the soul economy here. Try and get even more fed onto their carries, wait for Vegetable to get back up. And alright, fair enough, but at some point you are going to have to end the game while you're ahead. So
I'll ask that this is the too careful play, right? I think you can getting the shrines might be pushing it. I in a percent agreement that like, yeah, y'all should have pushed like the final lane guardians. But the idea is Champlain have kind of been under the knife the entire game, right? They've been the undercard here. Macalester has played better. So if you're sitting here and you're being unbiased about your own play, you go, hey, we are able to beat these guys. We find their mistakes and we punish them for it. But if we give them an opportunity to get back into the game, well, that's why we're in the lead in the first place, because they gave us an opportunity. So yeah, I'm probably more aggressive here, honestly, Sorin. But I think I see the method to their madness. Just, I don't want to let them have any farm. Take it. Because if we do, you know what I mean? Just a little bit safe. Maybe too safe. But I think that's their thought process.
Well, we'll have to see if that works out for them, because now they've worked back a 20k lead. Earn is up mid-boss in about a minute, so the next engagement here likely to be crucial for the outcome of this game. Once again, if Macalester can find the right engagements, that's what they did last time. They just found a couple people out of position and converted that into more. The mistake was when they went for the full engage without Sunny and Kyla there. Their Page and their Mo not in the fight. It's been a story that's happened a couple of times for both teams, is just taking a fight where not all of your team is present, not all of your team is even running to the fight. But if you can get all 6 members here, I think either team can take a team fight.
Trouble in the east as Victor is running down, gets hit up by the Dynamo. And up is the Dynamo. Big damage coming out of Champlain here, putting down the black hole. You've got a push on the left side and a push on the right side coming out from Champlain. Infernus going to get punched on down. Good defense, not good enough. Paradox Lover on top here of the right-hand side. Champlain lose 2, but they take 4. And looking to push the mid. And Victor's still going to go ahead and push that right side. They can pretty much do. Now is where they're going to do kind of what we wanted them to do earlier. I think here they go ahead and clear out some of these Guardians and find some more map control.
Lane Guardians, and then the mid-boss. Vegetable there with 2 posthumous kills. The superior duration afterburn on Infernus does do a lot of damage, even once he's down, so not even really needed to bring in all of your fight, as this will be the 3rd mid-boss of the game. This one will go the way of Champlain Esports. There's going to be contest here, though, from Paradox Lover and Tarbo. No ultimates available for them.
No,
really just got to rely on parries and melees.
Yeah, here it comes. Last stand just came up. Victor, half HP. Able to get the Rejuvenator, but 2 of them stolen from Macalester after the launch in from the Warden. He will get traded out, and so there's 1 charge gone. And there's a 2nd charge gone as well. So 1 remains, and it's on Champlain. 2 members of Champlain surrounding as Paradox Lover falls down again. A minute and a half on the bench at this point for that boy. And Champlain, what a beautiful play, Sorin. What a beautiful play call.
Yeah, mid-boss absolutely was the call there. And Macalester, though, I think get what they needed in that fight. They at least take away 2 of the Rejuvenator charges. And yes, Paradox Lover went down, but Tarbo is still up. Escaped that one somehow, and it does look pretty dire for Macalester, but at least you're only dealing with Victor ult down as well, so that is 7 lives rather than the potential 10 that you were facing before. So now Champlain going to start to push this base. Can they put on the effective siege, or they go back to the farm?
The second they see Dynamo on the right side of the map, they need to just press W. And it looks like Champlain might have got the memo. Left side is going to be the push here. The door is the first one to get active, and Satu sits down 7 in a row for the dead man. And Victor has been so important in this game. He'll sit down for a brief second, and he's back at it again. 5 members of Champlain up here in the opponent's base. Great talent on the way. Shrine going to be looked at here by Drifter. And Macalester, they might not lose their try. Just a Champlain push. And Macalester are kind of ready to deal with it. One shrine still alive. And all of these players caught up in damage from the 7. Goofy Goob winds up capitalizing on some damage from Paradox Lover. Tarbo just going to town. That's what the ultimate is for. 2 players taken out inside the base as a result. Or almost down as well. And the Warden chasing out the Drifter. Walking backwards, trying to deal. Paradox can't deal enough damage. Finally does. Taking him down. And so large respawn timers here for Champlain as they got really aggressive trying to push into Macalester. And Macalester was able to play defense enough, but they have lost one of those shrines. And so Champlain make their mark on this base, and it starts to crumble.
Yeah, that was basically the perfect engagement for Macalester. You get the Dynamo Black Hole to lock a couple of players in there. Paradox Lover also comes in, gets some big damage in on, and yet even still, Champlain are still carries, still here. They're the ones taking the base. They're the ones who took down Paradox Lover. Now you've got to try and find the CC to bring them down. And Furnace, quite tanky though. They're at least going to get first phase Patron off of this, and they may even get Sunny.
Could that seems egregious. Could that have been stopped by Macalester if they played flawlessly, Sorin, or was that just Champlain just has their carries there? Was that just sort of like, we can't deal with that, oh well?
I mean, I think there were ways to counter it. It just needed to happen before that push actually came through.
True.
Once you have Infernus with Infuser on your patron, Victor there backing him up, it's really hard as just 3 members, especially when one of them is a Mo and Krill, to find the damage to be able to bring them down.
Whoa. It's gun Mo, though.
That's true. He's got more damage than your average Mo. But at the end of the day, he is a funny little guy.
He is a funny little guy, and we love him for it. Muhammad and the boys take Walker as well. So Macalester getting some bite back. Pushing out through mid. Very important. And what you said earlier rings even more true now. Once you find your patron on its last legs, you can no longer fight in your house. You have to really find these fights outside because they can just shoot past you. They can find damage elsewhere. So Macalester now has to be, I always call this kind of like the reluctant aggression. It's now Macalester's job to be like, all right, we're not going to find the ideal fight. So we have to find the closest thing to it because we have to look for the fights. We have to look for the fight, singular, now. Because Champlain's job is to just show up, right? So Macalester has to get crafty here. They've got to not get caught out individually. I'm looking at you, Tarbo, on the right side. Nobody's around him, but it could be scary. And as this mid-boss respawns, Champlain are coalescing around it, thinking about it. Macalester. What's your take? Does Macalester all-out defend on the mid-boss, or do they fall back and defend elsewhere?
They absolutely would need to. If they hear the mid-boss roar, you got to bring everyone in. You've got all of your ultimates available, and that's where a lot of your damage is focused. And mid-boss is the perfect place to try and use some of them. So Champlain here, there's a temptation, almost 30k ahead, to go for it, to just try and burn it down. But Macalester, I think, have the perfect re-engage if they can get there in time. And that is a question with how far ahead Champlain's waves are currently. They're pushing up. They're not going to take the mid-boss. They're just going to go for the fight here.
Probably a nice call. Avoid some of the geometry like you were just bringing up. And now we're fighting in the hallways. And already, Macalester fighting with 05 up, down on, and sat 2. Now, Billy's going to fall down early, but it's a trade, so still upper hand for Champlain. Oh. Warden taking a brief break. See you later. That's a big deal. He was in the middle of last stand, so all of that wiped off the map for a moment as he gets flicker whisked out of the period. Now here comes Infernus. Ricochet going wild. Dashing on in, laying it down. 7 in some trouble. 7's got some damage available, but already ulted. The door, Insanity, 1 and 2. 4 players sitting down for Macalester. All they have is half an Archmother. Vegetable going to go ahead and cook the opponent one more time. Game 1. Champlain.
They did get there in the end. The safe play Ended up working out for them. They're able to take this first game, and this is only 2 matches here. There's not going to be a best of 3, so now Champlain lock that one in for the season, get those standings in, and Macalester are at best going to be able to go 1-1 here in this matchup between the two. But Champlain, I mean, honestly, their mid game was pretty solid. Like, they were constantly getting picks in the right places. They kept the right people alive and took at least mostly the right fights. And it was Macalester that kind of fell behind, that let their Kevin, the carry 7, get picked a couple of times.
I mean, yeah, I think a big deal. There was something in the back of my mind when we were doing the draft. I absolutely thought that the team with the more control had the better draft. I tend to lean, I'm a blue player, I tend to lean a little bit more on trying to kind of CC people and find the right moments. So that's what my bias is going to be. But I did kind of scratch my head and be like, is there a world where they're a little light on damage? And it kind of felt like towards that mid game, 2 things happened. It felt like, A, we were a little light, but more importantly, 2, on the other side, Champlain was like, we know when our characters turn on, and we're here. They had power spikes correctly, Sorin, and that's exactly when they fought. That was the impressive thing to me.
Yeah, they were a little bit light on damage, but not because of the heroes that they were playing. I think Tarbo, in particular, had a fantastic match on the 7. I liked his build, liked what he was doing a lot of the time. Could have used, as we said, a little more anti-heal to deal with this Victor and the Infernus as well. Underrated how much lifesteal he's got with the Infuser and being able to dash around, get the Afterburn procs onto everybody. So more anti-heal. The Abrams, I feel like, as well, could have helped out some with some, if you get just bullet resist shred. Let your carries do the work. As long as you're taking down the resistances with the Abrams, you've got plenty of opportunity to do so. You've got plenty of opportunity to be the one who picks up the anti-heal as well. So maybe just a couple team-focused items for this squad, and you can easily swing that the other way. You've got plenty of opportunity for damage. They couldn't quite find it for Macalester here in Game 1.
Well, 1 in the books here for Champlain. A great assertion of exactly what they needed to do. They understood the plan, and they executed it pretty damn nicely. We've got